Hello everybody, this is Fayt of Tarkir, back for another re-reaction of Transformers Prime. Semi-blind, last one being semi-blind actually. Masters and Students. We left off with Darkness Rising Part 5, shit going to hell. Megatron tried to summon an army from Cybertron. Autobots kind of fucked it up for him. Then he kind of supposedly, according to Starscream, blew up with the space bridge. Don't know if that's technically true, but Starscream thinks it is, so he's getting ready to hatch his evil schemes. Good luck with that, Starscream.
Okay,
Although, knowing Soundwave, who's probably still loyal to even to a dead Megatron, he's probably recording everything.
Alright, that's actually a good segue. So last time I kind of had to duck out and didn't get to finish my thought that I was trying to say. So I talked about Soundwave's backstory and how I think they only just briefly touch on it in the show.
Yeah, while he's talking, I'm gonna eat a worm.
Gummy worm. But
well, at least I'm not eating a fried one.
Oh God, why'd you make me remember that book?
It was also a movie.
Yep. Right, so Megatron's backstory, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before, that he was a gladiator at a certain point. Basically enslaved. And
didn't you also say that he and Optimus basically made a resistance on Cybertron or something like that? They fought together at some point.
When Megatron, well, okay,
then his views kind of differed.
I'm not gonna go through all the details because the show will do its own version of their backstory. But in terms of the Soundwave and Megatron dynamic, when Megatron was a gladiator, Soundwave is I might be misremembering this, maybe, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere it's established, whether it's in the show or in a supplementary material or something, that Soundwave was the only one who ever. It was either he was the only one to ever beat Megatron, or he was the one who came the closest. And the result is just like a mutual respect between the two of them.
While Starscream keeps trying to do everything sneakily.
Yeah, Starscream is
not very stealthy.
I mean,
even for an F-16, he's not that stealthy.
If we go by the video game backstory for Starscream, he's a freaking dirty coward who was the one that sold the entire planet out to Megatron in the first place and gave him Dark Energon originally, back when they were still on Cybertron and all that. So, like, yeah. I don't think the games are actually canon to the show, or if they are, it's only vague, like, only in the sense that, like, something like that happened.
Still found it oddly touching, even for Megatron. Like, he sees his zombies just right there. He just reaches out like, no.
Yeah, that's not the...
That's not very Megatron, is it?
I don't think that was what was going through his processor in that moment.
But the look on his face was just like, they're beautiful. Wait, why aren't they coming through?
Sure.
It's fingers.
We'll
let me
that.
Let me grab the fingers. Come on, you can do it. Shit.
Yeah. Just wanted to say that before you got started. So.
Yeah, we got all that going through. Now it's time for the last of my semi-blind reactions. Masters and Students. After this, everything will technically be blind.
No technically it's about it.
Yeah, true. So, we will be starting this episode In 3, 2, 1. So I seem to remember it being slightly thicker. Maybe as it's inside him, it starts shrinking because it's dissolving into his body.
I just want you to know, there was a long enough pause there that when we cut back to YouTube, the first thing people are going to hear is something that sounds very sexual. Oh my god.
My bad.
No, that's great.
Hashtag sorry, not sorry.
Masters and students. So yeah, that was the last one that we actually watched. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, pretty sure we watched that one before.
Yeah, we made it up to 6, and then computer hits floor, hard drive goes kaput.
Or something, I don't quite remember.
I'm pretty sure it slammed into the floor because you were screaming bloody murder.
Yeah, I was
Pissed
when that happened. But, oh well. Oh yeah, you need to do that. So, yeah, what is there even talk? I mean, there's a bunch of stuff to talk about.
I mean, Soundwave replayed Starscream's I Must Bear Witness. He probably already knows Starscream is just going to make sure Megatron is dead.
Yeah.
I must make sure this goes out as I think it will. Because if it does, then I can prove to Megatron that I'm still loyal and Starscream's a fucking asshole.
If Megatron's still alive, of course.
Yeah. Shard of blood was taken out of him.
Yep. I'm sure that won't be important.
No, it's not that important. Yet. Or is it?
So yeah, this was a weird episode.
I still think it was kind of messed up. They stuck a Tesseract inside that giant machine.
That was like a sort of stasis pod, I guess. It's weird.
Let's bury this so nobody can find it. Put this big asshole in here, close it up, find a way to get it in the ground. Or just let it sink naturally.
I don't know. I mean, that's just it. We don't even know how long he was there.
I am loyal to only one master, Megatron.
Like,
I'm your master now, you fucking asshole.
How about no? Bitch slap. But yeah, no, we don't know how long
Skyquake was
on Earth. Like, he mentioned a battle that he fought against Optimus at some point, so like...
I will never join forces with a Prime.
Did he actually phrase it like that?
I think so.
That's extremely weird. I guess he's an atheist. Oh my god, yes! That's... Just frame that whole thing exactly like somebody trying to convert another person to a religion, and they're just so extremely
against it,
Hollywood atheist about it. Just that would be amazing. I like that idea.
So basically turn him into Anderson?
No, the opposite of Anderson.
Oh, Major?
No, yeah, there's no real comparison in Hellsing. I mean, everybody in Hellsing, like it wasn't that they necessarily believed in God, but like they acknowledged that the supernatural existed. So, yeah, I don't think there was anybody important in Hellsing that was an atheist. But no, this episode was weird because if I remember correctly, it didn't properly premiere on television, but was instead included on a disc as part of a special toy deluxe package deal. So
You buy this Skyquake doll and we'll give you this episode.
no, that's the weird thing. It wasn't like it was a promotional Skyquake figure either. It was just like a random 2-pack of Optimus and Megatron. So like,
Gay.
I don't even know.
They put them in the same box, didn't they?
Well, of course they would. It was a 2-pack.
Have fun, you two.
I mean,
You get your own room where everybody can see you.
well, but I mean, even aside from that, like the
I mean, it's kind of like Megatron has a hard-on for Prime.
It's been there since the 80s. We'll just leave it at that.
Holy crap, and he still hasn't fulfilled it?
I guess it does not. You need to go see his doctor. It's been almost 4 decades. Never mind 4 hours.
I believe what goes up must come down. And if it's not down within 4 hours, you need to consult your physician. No, consult. You need to... that too. No, you need to consult your physician for all the lamps you're knocking over when on the way in.
Oh, that was a good sketch, but right. So A plot, we got Skyquake, Starscream trying to prove himself a leader, Optimus and Bumblebee trying to take Skyquake down.
Bumblebee succeeds,
Yeah.
punching 2 big ol' holes in him in the back.
Yeah, and it kind of sets like a bit of an expectation for the rest of the show, doesn't it? Like, having seen that episode, how would you imagine future episodes going down?
Bumblebee actually getting trusted with more missions instead of just scouting.
More general than that.
I mean, he's technically the scout of the group, so his job is basically go out there, survey the situation, report back.
There's also... Bumblebee is a kid. Like,
compared to everybody else who's ancient as fuck.
No, well... no. Compared to all the Autobots, he is very young.
Well, Prime did technically...
He was either born just before the war started or just after it started. So...
I mean, Prime did say that Cybertronians have a longer lifespan than humans, and Bumblebee still needs to experience a lot.
Yeah. In terms of this series... See, that's another thing. Like, this series is not very good at timelines. So, we don't...
Then there's Ratchet, who decided to overdo all the goddamn science experiments.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I don't even know what Jax was. It just looked like a hopping murder machine.
I guess it was meant to be some form of engine, but like...
No. I don't know
without
what that was.
Framework, it didn't
do anything
work properly.
Nope. I'm pretty sure it ran over a couple of teachers, possibly the principal. Jack's getting suspended for a few days.
It was just like, why did I get a bill for property damage?
Raph's getting suspended for blowing a hole through the school.
That actually caused property damage. I don't know. Like, that's a parent-teacher conference right there. Good God.
And then there's Miko's.
Miko's is just like...
big old ball of scrap metal.
I have to imagine the teacher's just like...
And what is Cybertron?
You get an A+ for imagination, but you fail.
What is that? Cybertron? Okay, next question. What the fuck is Cybertron?
I don't think they phrase it like that, but yeah, that...
some planet billions of light years away.
Yeah, they definitely would think she's just making shit up, and that's very sad.
Okay, first off, A for effort. Second, you fail. Third, you need to see a counselor or a therapist. What for? You're clearly disturbed.
I mean,
You're imagining other planets.
I really would like to steer this back towards the point, though, of like what guessing future plot lines that aren't about Bumblebee character development, but just like the general structure of the show, the formula that you would expect from this
Starscream betraying, double cross, triple cross. Then finally figuring out that, I'm not that good at this, am I?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of obvious he ain't good at this shit to begin with. He's not cut out to be a leader.
Well, no, he really isn't.
Megatron just looked like he was dead, then... Megatron? Everyone thinks you're deceased. Who am I to disappoint them?
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Okay, so we have the stuff with Skyquake that's very much just like a Monster of the Week, one-off type thing. You have this weird random subplot with the humans and Ratchet. And then you have the very important part of Starscream finds Megatron's undead body and
just shanks out the only thing that's keeping him alive.
Well, that, but also, like, then brings Megatron back to the ship and puts him on life support because he can't kill Megatron without everybody else throwing a hissy fit. And it's like...
I just became leader. I do not want this to go south right now.
Like, there's... Like, it's such an important plot point. And, number one, they did it just immediately after Darkness Rising. But also, like, they shoved it into an episode that was so weird for it. So, like, I don't know why.
I mean, I've never done episode developments and shit like that, so I don't know what the hell they did.
I mean, it's true. I get the feeling that it was like they did the Darkness Rising thing. Hasbro's like, okay, we're gonna do more of the show. We need Megatron around in some capacity, so
let's put him on life
correct
support
immediately, and we'll figure out what else to do later on.
Not to mention there was Soundwave not really giving a shit about the fight and just sending up his little bat drone to follow Starscream.
Yeah, I mean,
I do not trust that guy. I'm going to follow him.
Yeah.
Show me what you see, my bat.
What was the thing we were supposed to talk about afterwards?
Do it.
The thing you asked about. I said we'd talk about it afterwards.
Oh, right. Who the hell came up with the Autobot and the Decepticon monikers?
Right. Okay. So
who the hell created the teams?
That is a very interesting question because it's actually very inconsistent.
Because once Optimus said that he and Megatron fought together at one point in time until Megatron decided to become a Decepticon, which implies that the two forces were already in play during the war.
Yeah,
And that's another good question. Who the fuck started it?
Again, there's stuff that comes in later in the show where they explore character backstories that I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh, I spoiled a shit ton for you and you still watch your shows.
Yes, but every time you came even close to something major, and I feel like this is something major, I yelled at you.
Stop, 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 stop!
And threatened you with violence.
He's abusive.
Okay, slapstick violence, but violence.
Yeah, he did slap me with a stick. It was a broken back scratcher, but still a stick.
Yeah. But in general,
I mean, he didn't really care for minor spoilers, but if it was majorly tied to the plot or storyline, he did not want to hear it.
And I feel like in this case, the answers that are specific to this show are important.
I mean, I guessing they don't go into the creation of the Autobot Decepticon monikers at all.
Okay, Autobot we can go into. Decepticon, it's a little bit different. But throughout the last... Okay, at the time that this was coming out, about 30 years of Transformers history, there's been...
Different origin stories?
Yes. Like, in G1, they didn't explain it at all. And the implication was that the war had been going on for a long time.
Eons.
Before Megatron, Optimus actually started leading.
Also, wasn't Megatron...
Forces.
Didn't he name himself after a Prime?
The Fallen.
The Megatronus Prime.
But, again... That's something that's relatively recent in terms of the lore development. Originally, it was just Megatron, Megaton. Like, that was the pun of his name.
He is kind of heavy looking.
80s.
He's kind of heavy looking.
No, Megaton is like a measure of force, like for TNT. You say it puts out megatons of force, and it's like... Yeah, he has a name that's reminiscent of explosions and force and power, and it was the 80s. They had names like Skeletor.
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Edgelord. Give me all your weapons. Give me your gun, and any other weapons you got too.
Bitch, I am the gun.
It's also a high-end customizable
sniper rifle. It's also a gun.
It's also a gun.
Cool. But
what do you got? Well, I got this sword and shield.
So, back in the 80s, there wasn't any real explanation for it. The closest we got was some stuff about the history of the Primes that didn't come out until like season 4 of the show.
Wasn't there another one called Transformers Headmasters or something?
That was one of the many attempted sequels to G1, and it was originally made in Japan and dubbed for the United States, and
probably didn't do so well.
The dub is hilarious for all the wrong reasons. Isn't
that how most anime is?
No.
Hilarious for the wrong reasons.
No, you're thinking of just like dirty jokes and stuff. I'm talking about the fact that it was legitimately terrible and poorly done. But that fact in and of itself makes it hilarious.
And they came out with all the spin-offs, Transformers Rescue Bots and shit like that.
That's later. So, Autobots and Decepticons over the years, yeah, they didn't originally have an explanation. It was actually when, I think, the movies started coming out that they actually bothered to explain it. Well, actually, the first explanation for like the start of the war, I think, comes from Armada, when they said, "Oh yeah, the war started because the Autobots and Decepticons were fighting over control of the Minicons." But
which series was it where they had 3 different Minicons that turned into a damn sword?
Several.
No, I mean there was one I saw. Like one of the Minicons was, I think, a skateboard.
Okay. Wait, I don't know if the skateboard was part of the sword or not.
I have no idea.
There were 2 different swords. They were actually repaints of each other.
True, but I saw
Energon
one like
had one.
The Autobots and Decepticons were literally fighting over 3 specific Minicons. They didn't give a shit about the rest.
Again, Armada had one, and so did Energon. So
I'm pretty sure it was Energon because that's the only Transformer show I remember watching as a kid.
Yeah.
And everybody agrees that it was kind of shit.
Yeah. It had some good ideas, but it did not... It didn't do very good.
Yeah, one of my childhood friends literally had all 3 of the Minicons. And he could just put them all together.
Yeah. It was a pretty cool concept. And
I mean, the Minicon bots, when you transformed them into bots, were only about... Actually, no, his were about this tall.
They were much smaller.
Well, I think the biggest one was about there, and the smallest
2 inches.
one was...
2 inches is how big the mini cons used to be.
This is about 2.
That looks about 2.5.
2.5.
But yeah, no, mini cons were small. So that was like the first explanation for why did the war start.
They were fighting over things that made them powerful.
Right. It wasn't until around the time of the movies that an explanation for the Decepticons and Autobots came around.
Then in another movie, they had 5 different Decepticons turn into a bigger one called Devastator, I think. Constructicons turning into that thing.
The team known as the Constructicons usually does turn into Devastator, yes.
And they kind of had similar views to Decepticons.
And you're thinking of the Energon version again. But the movies started calling the Autobots' name, at least, came from autonomous robot. So essentially the idea of freedom was where they got their name from. And
Decepticon was what? Deceptive convict?
That actually makes sense, but I don't...
So I'm pretty sure a lot of Decepticons were originally criminals at one point.
Not in the movies. And they never really go into the name of the Decepticons for the movies, but the start of the Decepticons as a group does in fact tie back into the Fallen. More specifically, Megatron's desire to be a Prime, and
was never really chosen.
Right, but he modeled the symbol for his movement after the Fallen's face. That's where the Decepticon logo comes from. And the group that would become the Decepticons in the movies, at least originally, the way it was intended was that Optimus was basically in charge of Cybertron's scientific endeavors, and Megatron was in charge of its military defense stuff. So eventually,
with Optimus's scientific weaponry and
scientific weaponry. Let's not even go into how shit the movies actually are. But
and then Megatron's military prowess and leadership probably made them a force to be reckoned with.
That's the point. They were brothers. They were allies until Megatron said, "No, I want to be in charge." And then he had the entire military behind him to form into the Decepticons. So that was how the movies were originally going to explain it, and then they just
went somewhere else.
It was the Michael Bay movies. We don't need to elaborate on how terrible they were. And yeah, then this series was actually the next one to come out that really delved into the lore. So yeah, there are explanations for elements of the how and why of the Autobots, the Decepticons, the start of the war, but they don't come about until later, and I don't want to spoil everything. So, when did... I want to say it does happen before the end of season 1 that they explain it, but I might be wrong about that. It might be the start of season 2. I don't... We'll get there. But yeah, okay. I think that's everything you want to talk about, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Once again, this is Fayt of Tarkir signing off until the next reaction. See y'all later.
Yay.